Meanwhile, let's bring in Tom Homan. There was a dark cloud over his hearing.
Storm clouds.
Yeah, storm clouds would have been better. Retired ICE director and so much more. Tom, have you calmed down yet from that hearing?
I did until you just showed that clip of someone calling me a racist and said I didn't care about dying children. That's when I broke. That's when if you notice, I hesitated a minute before I started yelling, because I actually think about getting up and throwing that man a beating right there in the middle of the room. Because when you tell somebody that's spent their career saving lives that I don't care about dying children and I'm a racist, that's where I broke, and that's where I had enough.
It was definitely emotional, very contentious. In case you missed it, for the folks at home, here's a montage of some of the sound bites.
Of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way.
You want to comment? You seem frustrated.
I'm extremely frustrated.
No, Mr. Homan, I'm not calling on you, sir.
Of course not.
This is my time.
This isn't about transparency.
You're not at the border.
This is ridiculous.
You're not at the border right now. You're in a hearing room. It's my time.
How can you possibly allow this to happen under your watch? Do you not care? Is it because these children don't look like children that are around you? I don't get it.
First of all, your comments are disgusting. I've served my country.
I've served my country 34 years.
So for you to sit there and insult my integrity and my love for my country and for children, that's why this whole thing needs to be fixed. And you're the member of Congress.
We agree on that.
Fix it.
And that's what it comes down to. If people don't like the laws, Tom, change the laws. But that's Congress's job, and they're not doing their job.
Absolutely, and they didn't want to hear it. Look, this hearing wasn't about transparency, because every time the Democratic lawmakers say something that wasn't right, I try to interject and set the record straight. When the other witnesses thrown out data that was completely false, I try to interject. They didn't want to hear the truth. This was political theater. They wanted to push their narrative and not let me speak. So like halfway during the hearing, I say, no, enough. I'm going to interrupt, I'm going to interject, and they can throw me out if they want. But what they wanted by the personal attacks on me and the men and women of Border Patrol, they wanted me to get up and walk out. And I wasn't going to give that to them, because at halfway through the hearing, I says, okay, I'm not talking to them no more. I'm going to talk to the American people. Every response I give is going to go straight to the American people. And thank God Jim Jordan was in there, because he fought for me to speak. Because, you know, the personal attacks, and they spent 5 minutes, that congressman that said, you're not on the border, and screaming at me, he spent 5 minutes berating the Border Patrol, ICE, and me. And when he was done, I wanted to respond. But he wouldn't allow me to respond. He started yelling at me, telling me to shut up, because he wanted to hear from an advocate sitting next to me that would support his false narrative.
So he didn't ask any questions of you. He just made a statement, then asked the guy who's going to support his point of view.
Absolutely. He spent 5 minutes berating the heroes on the Border Patrol and ICE and myself, and I wasn't allowed to respond because he wanted to talk to one of the people that would agree with his comments. That's what this hearing is all about, pushing a false narrative. When I walked in a room, you could cut the tension with a knife. The people behind me behaved themselves during the whole hearing until I spoke. Then they started standing up with their signs and stuff. Even the audience did not want me to speak. This was nothing but political theater to push a false narrative against this president, this administration, the heroes in ICE and Border Patrol, and I wasn't going to be silent. So they want to fight, I gave them one.
Tom, the only thing I could hope for is you're not there for a Republican or Democrat. You're there as a law enforcement official presenting a way, this is how you enforce the law. You said you were talking right to the American people. My hope is that the American people are listening, because no one in that room was listening. Do you get the sense, because I know law enforcement doesn't see red or blue, do you get the sense the American people understand where ICE stands and Border Patrol stands in this whole political mess?
I think a lot of them do, and I think we're educating more of them. Thanks to Fox Network, they're telling the truth. They're getting this out there. I've seen several of your stories this morning. We got to keep, Brian. We got to keep talking to the American people about the truth, because the left and the media controls everything. And other than Fox News, I don't know anybody else that wants to educate the American people on what's actually happening on that border. And so, yeah, I think we got to keep doing what we're doing. I was there in my time. I wasn't being paid to be there.
Tom.
Like you said, I wasn't the ICE director anymore. I went there because I was invited by Jim Jordan. I was hoping to tell the truth to the American people.
You told the story of the 5-year-old little boy. Will you tell the folks at home that story?
And I got called to a crime scene, and they flew me in. The Rangers kept the scene hot. When I showed up, there's 19 dead aliens that were in the back of a tractor trailer. I stood in the back of that tractor trailer with 19 dead people at my feet. Think about that. And there's a 5-year-old little boy that suffocated in his father's arms. And his father was cradling him. His father also died. And I knelt down beside that child, because I had a 5-year-old child at the time, and I said a prayer, because I knew what was his last 30 minutes of life like. What did that little kid suffer? Could not breathe. The heat in that trailer was incredible. They're in a metal box.
Right.
And I knelt down because I had a 5-year-old son at the time. And you look around, you got all these dead people at your feet. I didn't sleep for a week. I mean, I thought about my own son.
Sure. And Tom,
and what I tried to make.
You told that story.
Make clear in that hearing. It wasn't about enforcing laws. I try to tell these people that hearing, this isn't just about enforcing laws, it's about saving lives. When you talk about open borders, abolish ICE, and free medical care, you entice more people to put themselves in the hands of criminal organizations, and they're going to die. 31% women are being raped. Children are dying. So I lost it at one point during hearing. I said, you understand people are dying, and you're sitting there making a political game out of this. You can fix this. You're Congress, you're the legislature. You spent 30 years failing the American people. How about fixing this and saving some lives?
And there was nothing hidden about what was happening at the border. 60 Minutes did a special, showed those same shots. We were there 2 weeks later, showed those same shots. But Democrats and certain high-profile Democrats go down there and start screaming about drinking out of toilets, which wasn't happening. And there are people saying, wow, look at what Donald Trump is covering up. It has nothing to do with him. They are overwhelmed, underfinanced, and will never be equipped to handle 500,000 people in 5 months, ever.
And Brian, that's the main point I try to make in that hearing. This isn't the Border Patrol's fault. This is your fault. The Democratic leadership who failed to give the Border Patrol the supplemental funding they needed. Border Patrol's been screaming for months. The Acting Secretary McEleen's been screaming, give us money so we can move these families and children into an HHS facility that's built for them and has a facility built for them and all the care they need, the doctors, the supplies. But Congress ignored it because Congress wanted to embarrass this president. They want to resist this president. So when I said in that hearing, you want to blame somebody for all this? Look in the mirror, because you're the ones that didn't fund this till it's too late. Now that they did fund it, kids are being moved in 72 hours. This is their problem, their failure, but they want to point their fingers at the men and women who strap a gun to their hip every day to defend this nation. It's insulting. It was just political theater at its worst.
Tom, you have a lot of support, a lot of people watching that are hailing you as a hero, because you are. Thank you for giving up so much of your life for law enforcement and for our great country, and continue to fight, please.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right. Tom Homan. Thank you, sir.